Hey, cheers to hams.
Cheers to Hams,
Hey,
and
cheers.
Jay Stedman's walking in the studio.
He's in the house.
Hey,
Jace.
tell you what, you look better than Wilson and I'll tell you
No,
that.
you look like $1 million Canadian, 600,000, man. You look good. Woo!
Woo!
I wouldn't even want to see that medical bill because I think that'll come up a few mil short.
Hey, awesome. Love you, buddy. You look awesome.
You want to say a few words? Get up here. Talk
Get
to us,
up
man.
here.
Talk to us. Hey, don't you bow out of here. Where are you going?
Big James McCarty.
You can't get a shirt unless you
Hey,
talk.
a little shout out to our presenting sponsor. Again, thank you to Valley Imports. The hockey guys are brought to you by Valley Imports and Valley Pre-Owned, your best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com. So, Jace, welcome.
Thank you, guys. And just a personal shout out for Valley Imports. I did buy a vehicle from them recently. So, thanks to our sponsor.
I
Well, I'm
hope
gonna
it doesn't
just-
have. I hope it doesn't have a lot of extra room because you don't need to be hauling extra baggage around this time of year.
No, you definitely don't. But no, it's good to be back working again. And it's been a long couple of months, and a lot of things happened, and I'm back.
Don't retire.
Don't
retire.
I retired once,
No,
but that was
I-
from a
don't-
different job.
Don't retire. You retire and then you get old.
I know, right? You retire, you don't know what you're supposed to do anymore, and then all of a sudden,
I love being retired. I watch Judge Judy, Wheel of Fortune. You kidding me?
you're not watching The Price is Right.
Price is Right. I love those shows.
I was gonna say, don't miss Price is Right.
And look in front of him. He brought his Betty's pie.
Pie's here. Hey, you guys. Hey, you want a roadie? Take the Betty's pie. We ain't have. I'm serious. Take it.
Well, we
Best pie ever.
can't say no to that.
Hell no. Or heck no. Sorry, man. Beat me out of there.
I think Will started this morning a little early, Jeff.
I think so too.
Well,
5 o'clock's early.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly.
Wrong 5 o'clock though, but that's a different story.
All right, but hey, you didn't know this, but Eddie got a grandson,
Oh,
and Doc Phil got a grandson.
wow! Everybody's having grandkids.
Jude.
So I invited Wilson over to my house last night. Two old guys were living wild, right? Watching the Sioux game. He brings over the blueberry Betty pie that we put in the oven to warm up, sitting in our lazy boy, falling asleep. But we wrote a song for Doc Johnson and Eddie for having grandchildren. All right, so here you can sing along with
Okay.
us. It's pretty familiar. All right, here we go. We met a guy, George, downtown that helped write it.
I was gonna say, seems like a good musician.
Yeah. I don't think you'll make it, but push it through. It's a boy,
Hockey player.
a hockey player, a hockey player, a hockey player. Bad.
Man.
Now you know why they shouldn't hang out
Player.
together.
Hockey
I tell you
player.
I tell you, it took us about
It's a
2
good-
hours to write this song last night, eating our
We were a
Betty's
lot
blueberry
better
pie.
last night, though.
It's a good thing it was simple. You would have
Yeah.
had trouble with the words if it weren't.
No, we made a lot of money, Jeff and I, singing when people paid us to stop.
Yeah,
I
I
went
could
to
see that.
I went to McDonald's this morning for breakfast. I had to pay in quarters. you know?
Yeah.
Well, listen, boys, you're off to do a Dragon basketball
Yep.
game today.
Down in Sioux Falls, we got the Dragons versus USF.
And the weather's not cooperating.
No, so we're gonna head out early, make sure we get there in time. So it'll be fine when we come back. So
But, brother, I'm going to say this. It's so good to see you. I'm going to tear up here. I'm serious, man. You went through a heck of a journey, and you did a great job, and you look great. And we're the family here. We're love to see you, man. It's good to see you.
And we met your mom and
Yeah,
dad.
my mom and
the
dad.
family from Arizona. And
Yep. I mean, it was something really unexpected, and we've got some heart issues on that side of the family. But you think you're doing everything you need to do to avoid that type of thing, and it just kind of sneaks up on you. So
And you got into radio, and look what happened to you.
I know, right? I go and get in radio, and I have a heart attack. So you can talk to
Well-
this guy over here. It's probably his fault.
well, you guys drive carefully.
We
Good
will.
luck today.
Yep.
Go Dragons.
Yep.
And, buddy, Nice to see you alive.
Nice to be seen. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
for sure. Good to see you guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Take the Betty's pie. I'm serious. It's delish.
We will do that.
It could come in handy if you get
Strata,
down
you can last
somewhere
for 3
between here
days.
and nowhere.
If you're stuck in the ditch, 3 days, you could have your food right
It's
there.
a little filling.
I'm going to get in trouble, but I wanted to ask what happened with the Sioux last night, but then I watched the Gopher highlights, and there weren't any. So
My son was
congrats to Carter Creer, former Fargo Force coach and
Yes.
assistant for the Buckeyes now, because they really they lathered it on the Gophers last night.
I saw
You
that.
know, Big James, there's a lot of things. There's a Minot player that got his first collegiate goal last night for Arizona,
That's
Is it
true.
Bozer, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Bozer, and you had
Two played
the
last
third-
2 seasons for the Fargo Force.
and I believe the third goal was scored by a Forest player, the goal for Arizona. So there's some connections. So, yeah, we'll have some
definitely.
discussion. You know,
And a
it looks
young
to me-
boy from West Fargo committed to ASU.
Yeah.
Verbally committed. So
And we
Yeah,
had a
it
guy.
matters.
We had a guy from area back in the lineup. Cameron Berg was back in the lineup. So lots of connections to the local area. that was going
It's
on
really
in,
cool to see. I
game
mean,
last
it's some high level hockey. There may not be as many teams you see in other portions of the northern chunk of the country or even in southern Canada. But you know what? It's a lot of fun to see that. And at the same point, we just got to hope that our teams get back on track because UND and Minnesota, if they're up at the top of the country, that's when college hockey's thriving at its best.
Well, I'll tell you what, University of North Dakota, for the last 50 years, since Rube Bjorkmans was the head coach.
Was that your freshman year?
No, that would have been Wilson's freshman year.
It was Wilson's freshman year.
Yeah. And they
I want a
Gino
T-shirt. I might have just got that revoked.
Hey, Rod, this is
Gino
Rube Berkman.
Gino Gasparini, Dean Blaze, Hackstall, Brad Berry. Here's the scoop. UND dominates their play, old-time hockey, and what do I mean? You win along the boards. You win below the goal line. First guy in's got to take the body. Second guy gets the puck. You know full-length passes.
Spin the goalie.
Yeah, you hit the net, 3 guys hard, and you spin the goalie. Keep it simple. You know, when you try to be Wayne Gretzky out there, your whole team passing, and it looks pretty, right? But you go from your defensive end to the top of the circles in your zone and give the puck away, and then they go back the other direction, and keep it simple.
And by the way,
Follow through with your checks.
I don't think it's- I don't think-
Second rule. Dr. Phil, good morning.
I don't think it's upsets, but Boston College got knocked off by Merrimack 5-2. So
Wow.
if you take a look, and I'll come back. We talk a lot about the so-called balance and the so-called parity that's happening.
What do they call it? The
I
pairwise
think-
for
I
the
think
tournament?
I think what's starting to appear in college hockey, I think the influence that we're starting to see of all of the management of the player, I think the teams that are going to win are the teams that have a team, keeping the locker room together. You got a bunch of people that go out
100%.
and play. So I think we're going to watch the game of college hockey shift back to guys that want to play, not guys that are drafted and want to be in the next level.
Well, Omaha knocking off number 13 Colorado College 5-2 last night. And the big win for Scott Sandlin
Yeah. huge
over
win.
St. Cloud, number 10.
2-0.
So
So
thanks to
it's
Ham's
all
Beer,
over.
our intermission sponsor. We appreciate Ham still brewing that true
Jace,
family
cheers,
tradition.
buddy.
Cheers.
Using the purest water and the choicest barley grain and the hops. So Ham's to you. We'll
And
be back here on the Hockey Guys right after this intermission. Wow, what a nice surprise.
Yes.
And we appreciate our sponsors, the hockey guys, Fargo Forest, Bag and Strindon, Dakota Refrigeration, Welton's Tire Service, Carpa World, Halstonson Askew Wealth Management, and the Red Pepper. So appreciate you guys sponsoring hockey guys.
Well, boys, let's talk a little bit of the scores with some good music in the background. We're going to visit with Scott Hennon this period. He was down, had a good conversation after the game with Coach Brad Berry. And Wilson, you take it away in a couple of your scores.
Well, I think the big one was, there's a few big ones, but Love Sandlin beating St. Cloud 2-0. I know he was banged up early in the year, too, with his club. That's a big win. Gophers in Ohio, they, was it 5-0, Eddie?
5-1.
5-1.
Shocked me.
That one shocked me big time too. That, and then and obviously the 4-1 with UND and Arizona.
Well, Minnesota State, number 12 in the rankings, beat by Northern Michigan. That's a good win. But here we go, Eddie. Take the scores away, Eddie. Big Eddie Christian.
I was a little bit, again, Merrimack over Boston College.
Yeah, that was big.
Yes.
Obviously, the one that nobody's talking about, I think Denver's back. They've got Dave Carl back. And then on top of that, I'll just give a little shout-out. Maybe we'll have to get Coach Towns on. But Michigan State looks to be like it may be the team that everybody's going to have to try to figure out. Because, again, I think Michigan State's for real.
I agree. I watched them the other day, and they got some power forwards, man. They can put the puck in the net, and they drive hard. You alluded to it a little bit earlier, and we'll probably chit-chat a little bit about the UND Arizona. Nice movement, UND, but no penetration. You got to attack. You know what I mean? I think you got to go for the throat. And I always say I'm from the cheap seats, watching. But I thought you got to go for the throat. Get in there.
Well, you get the skill all the way to the top of the circle, but then it's the heart to the net, right? And along the boards below the goal line.
Michigan State's built to the game that I think a few of us were familiar with. They are a built team. The team that also is hanging out that didn't play last night is Western Michigan. So Western Michigan, I think, in the NCHC is going to come in, and that's going to be an interesting team to watch as well.
Dr. Phil, do we have you on the line too?
Yeah, I've been. I can't get a word in edgewise. You guys.
We thought you were busy hunting. We didn't know that you wanted to talk.
Hey, I hope you heard the song we wrote for you.
I hope you don't get any copyright infringement problems with that.
I told you we sing solo so low no one can hear us. What are your thoughts, Phil?
My thoughts are, I would like to know exactly what the roster lineup was for Boston College, and the reason I say that is a lot of coaches will give those World Junior kids a break for that first game or that first series when they come back.
Because they had 3 guys on that team, didn't they?
I think they had 4 or 5, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
And we got Scott Hennon on the line, Dr. Phil. Scott was down, interviewed Coach Brad Berry after the game. And Scott, tell us what your view was of the game and what you learned with Coach Berry following.
I did not talk to the coach after, for full disclosure. I talked to him before.
He was probably running away from you and didn't want to talk to anybody.
No, we didn't have any plans to chat after the game, but I have to admit that there was a lot less hockey watching than I'd hoped for at the game last night, because there was just a ridiculous amount of it started when we arrived at the arena. And our tickets on the phone did not work. And so my wife and I are just at the little ticket window saying, hey, what's the deal? And right next to me, I hear, Scotty, me boy. And, of course, it's Dean Blaze. And I don't think he –
Good friend to have.
I don't know that he even has a flip phone, right? So he's, like, yelling at them about, hey, why don't you just issue tickets like the old days, like they were a piece of paper? What's all this crap with the phone? And he was trying to get his phone, and he was not happy. So we got Blazer in, and the rest was kind of a blur for the rest of the day. Coach Hackstall was there, of course, and it was a wonderful night. I know hockey on the ice didn't come out anywhere near to the degree we wanted to, and we're all in the same boat there. It wasn't a night to talk about. It's one to just dust yourself off and get back up and do it the next night. But it was a great atmosphere. There were tons of alum there. Mike Commodore and Nick Domenko, of course, works for ASU, so he was down there. And I shouldn't start naming guys because it was a crazy night.
But isn't adding Arizona State to the NCHC? It was North Dakota's weekend, right? Can you imagine having Duluth's weekend, the same fans? It's a great event to go to for our fans from the away teams. It's an awesome area. Awesome to go down there and play.
So every year you've got a destination game on the schedule, right? Plus we were always probably going to have one anyway. So, they're a great addition to the league. This school's unbelievable. They do a great job. I'm impressed with ASU's hockey team this year. They're nothing. I mean, they're a good team. Obviously, their record shows that, and same with the teams they've beaten. And just to have them in the league, I think is fantastic. It's really, really cool. I can tell you this. I don't know if this is a scoop or anything. You guys maybe know this already, but we actually, Maria and I flew down with the team, and we're guests of Coach Barry and Suzanne, who's along as well. And so we had a nice little chat with Brad on the plane on the way down on Thursday. And he told us that the St. Thomas game is going to be home and home next year. And so what they're going to do is play Friday in Grand Forks at the Ralph, and then they're going to take a day off, and they're going to do a Sunday game at XL Energy Center with St. Thomas. So, that'll be epic because, of course, St. Thomas is newer to the league, but we'll have tons of fans there. And I just love how this program's run. It's so very special, and the fan experience is always first and foremost in their mind, and it's really cool. I hadn't flown with the team. I guess we flew back because they had a couple extra seats from Tampa, not down, but just back. And, of course, any of you guys that have been on a charter after a playoff, especially after a national championship, when your last game of the year, it's nothing short of,
What's
insane.
What's
every
a charter?
Packed.
What's a charter, Scott?
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have charters. We had the Shamrock Airlines.
I hear you, and many times I've been with guys in the Geno years. Flights delayed, and you're in Minneapolis sleeping on every bench you can find, and
the wheels didn't come down returning from Europe. We had to go back to Minneapolis and land because they didn't have enough runway in Grand Forks. Should the plane wheels not be down? 11 hours of flying, and we had to go back to Minneapolis.
Well, Scott, you remember when Gino was coaching, Lake Placid, New York. Were you on that airplane coming back?
I was not, no.
Oh, man, yeah. The bus or the airplane was so full. There was ambulances going on each side of this airplane as we were taking off. It was the largest and heaviest airplane ever to take off from Lake Placid. We had people, band members. We had people from the Walsh Hall that somehow got there that were standing in the hallways of the airplane while it was taking off, hanging on. And we got enough fuel to get to LaGuardia. And then we had to have a 2-hour fill up to get to Grand Forks. But that was eventful. Hey, Scott, what do you think? North Dakota, I'll say old-time hockey. We talked about it in the first period. North Dakota has won their games along the boards, below the goal line. First man take the body. I know Brad is pulling his hair out. Brad is one of the best coaches of all of his predecessors, and I believe that in my heart. And he's a great man. But he has got to be pulling his hair out on this team.
Yeah, I don't think he's pulling his hair out on this team. I think he recognizes they're young, and obviously now finally with everybody back that can be back, you got to gel again and everything else. So I think he actually sees a lot of the good in this team without question. Pulling his hair out over last night, probably. To me, long break. You only had Manitoba. That was kind of a layup, And yet, there's nothing but what the pairwise says that should motivate these guys more than what it is. So I can't tell you what happened last night. I'd say we just dust it off and keep cranking.
Hey, you remember, Scott, you split on the road and you sweep at home. Thank you, Scott for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Scott.
Go win.
See you guys.
Well, that was a straight up exactly what nobody watched. It's quite a place in Arizona. So this intermission is sponsored by Citywide Electric. Experience you can trust for design, repair, and installation of any home or business electrical project. That's citywideenergyd.com. We'll be back on the Hockey Guys with Coach Raboin, who is a gold assistant coach, World Junior team.
Welcome back to the Hockey Guys. Voted the #1 college hockey radio show in the country. And bringing to you the assistant coach of USA Hockey World Junior Gold Medal team and the head coach of Augustana University, Garrett Raboin.
Hey, Coach, you didn't have to wonder about what to do. You got the weekend off, correct?
Yeah, no doubt. Out recruiting this weekend. It kind of worked out well to get back from a month away and have a weekend off.
You up in Warroad?
Are you in
Internet,
Minot?
no.
Thunder Bay?
No, I'm 701 right in there.
Oh, you got to get the 807 in there.
Well, we always talk with Frank Saratori. It's the 218 and 701ers.
And 807.
Well, now you know where each of us are from, Thunder Bay, Warroad, and Minot. Say, Garrett, tell us how many gold medals have you won now as coaching staff of USA Hockey? World Junior team.
It's back to back, and it's the first time it's happened in our country's history, which is really cool to be a part of. But reflecting on it all, what a group of guys, extremely talented players, just future stars in our game, and but just good people more so, and it takes so many, as all you know, it starts with the grassroots hockey in our country, and this is one of those great moments, hopefully on the way to men's worlds and Olympic golds.
So, Coach, a little bit, Coach Carl announced that he is not going to come back to three-peat. I think what we would like to share is everybody says, oh, well, you go out and you have 2 weeks. And I would suggest that when you get involved with that World Junior tournament and you are on staff, it's a year-round plus position, because you not only have to go in there for 2 weeks, but you have to try to figure out, I'm assuming, the players, how their style and everything. And then, so how much time away from your full-time college hockey coaching role does that World Junior take? Because for Dave, as we all know, great individual, it's not something you want to not do, but in the same sense, it's got to be a huge strain on your family and your full-time position, I would think.
Yeah, it's a lot, and there's the summer camp, which runs a couple of weeks. There's evaluations throughout the season, because you get a longer list of guys in the summertime, and then you evaluate, and there's always risers and fallers throughout the fall, and then you come back and we have a little camp in Plymouth before we go to our exhibition games, where we were in Kingston this year. But all in all, it's a couple of months. For me, my scheduling with my college team, I actually left on December 4th to Alaska, took the red eye home. I was washing clothes and out at 8 a.m., so spent about 8 hours at home, and then returned back just the other day. So we're reintroducing myself to the kids and wife and dog, and it's going okay.
Hey, Coach,
That's
let me
gotta
help
be
you.
tough.
I did laundry once when my wife was gone. The colors all came out as one, and I'm not allowed to touch the clothes anymore. So I'll give you a little bit of that advice. Just screw up on one load, and then you won't have to do your own laundry.
That's a veteran play by you. I get in trouble. I mess up the piles, and I don't do it right, and I'm just kind of in the way. So,
Well, Dr.
but
Phil,
it's all good.
Sorry for interrupting you, Garrett. Dr. Phil Johnson knows probably the most of anybody the stress on your profession, your real profession, when you get involved with USA Hockey. Doc, Phil Johnson, you have any questions there for our friend Garrett?
The one thing I want to say is congratulations. I mean, that team was probably one of the best World Junior teams we've had for quite some time. And being part of the 4 gold medals, I can honestly say that it was just a treat to watch them. The question I've got for you, Coach, and I always ask the head coaches somewhere along the line when we're at the World Juniors, which, as you know, is a fire drill. And I don't mean to use fire as a bad thing, as with the LA Fires and things, but it's a fire drill. I mean, you potentially are playing 7 games in 10 days, and you've got guys that are getting banged up. You've got guys that need a break, and, they make a big deal. Oh, the Canadians didn't practice on Wednesday. Well, it's because their guys needed a rest. So, and I think the press and the media get way too involved with the World Juniors, and they put a tremendous, unrealistic expectation on some of those Canadian kids. And I think that's sometimes what happens. They're not used to it. But back to my question, when I watch Coach Carl behind the bench, he really has a really good feel, I think, for the guys that are sitting down in front of him. And what I mean by that is it's kind of like the Bob Motzko plan. He just lets them play. He knows what they can do. He doesn't have to coach a whole lot, but he knows what they can do, and he puts the right people out in the right situation. And I'm sure you guys do the same thing as well, whether you're coaching defense or whether you're coaching the forwards. But it's really interesting how when I watched that bench, it was a real smooth flow. There wasn't a lot of talking with the players, as sometimes you see with some of the more inexperienced teams. He knew what these guys could do, and he put them out in the right situations, and I think that paid off very well.
Well, and that's, great comments by you, and you're right on. And there is some similarities between Coach Motzko and David Carl. And how about David Carl? I mean, every door is open to that young man right now.
Yep.
But it's impressive for me to watch him work because, you know how much better you can be as a coach when you go back to your own team. His demeanor, how he communicates, how he's direct, he's honest, but he's even keel throughout. There's not a ton of wasted emotions, I think, which in this tournament is needed. You can't afford to waste any energy, emotionally, physically. And he does a great job of identifying mistakes that happen because these are still amateur players and mistakes are happening out there. But it's just his delivery, how often, in what type of setting he makes corrections or reinforces things. And the guys respond. The guys love playing in the tournament. I think it helps them to take more ownership. And at the end of the day, like, every little bit matters. And you see that we went in an overtime with Teddy Stiga, who didn't even play in the first game of the tournament. And he comes back, he's out there in overtime, and he gets his first shot on goal, and it goes in. It's a gold medal winning goal. I mean, to have the trust to put him out there, to have the young man believe in his abilities to execute, it's really impressive.
And go ahead, Doc.
Thanks, Jeff. I think every year, I did it for 20 years, every year there was always just that amazing ability of these elite level players. And I think kudos go to the National Team Development Program, that idea that was started by Jim Johansson, back in the 90s. And I remember sitting on a bus with Jimmy when we were in, and I'm not trying to name drop, but when we were in Prague, and he was on the phone trying to convince the USHL that this is going to be a good thing and that the NTDP needs to be in the USHL to further advance, American hockey. And it worked. And I think there's a lot of validation with that. And there's been a lot of people that, wanted to shoot it down. But I think realistically now, people understand that National Team Development Program does help develop the elite players, as does the NCAA college hockey kit. And I think we're at a time, and it's interesting how Canada didn't do very well, and I think there's a lot of reasons. My personal feeling is I think those Canadian kids were trying to play hockey at the CHL level and had not really played at the IHF level, and it's a whole different game. It's refereed differently, the speed is different, and I think that's where they got into trouble. But I'm just so excited to see that the USA Hockey has now developed a level that everybody else can strive for, especially with the young kids coming up, that there's a lot of confidence in what they're doing is right. And now we're seeing parity, not only in college hockey. Look at your club. You're a giant slayer at some point, but I'm not surprised because the college hockey is becoming a little bit more even leveled. And the parity's there, but it's also getting that way on the international level as well. Canada's not sitting at the top all the time. Granted, Russia's not there, and that's unfortunate. But I think that it's a real exciting time for hockey, and specifically college hockey, because it's becoming more and more of Herb Brooks's dream that you go get the best players that you can and mold them into a team, and miracles happen.
No, and you're right on, and as the biggest hockey playing country in the world, we're finally seeing the results, and the numbers are there. And but to like from the guys at the national team, they do a real good job, I think, of involving others because it takes everyone. I mean, to give a shout out to one of our northern guys in Hampton, Sokinski, he had to play in a big game to even get us a chance to go to the semis and then the finals, and he was tremendous for us. And he's coming from a small community of Warroad, come early, stay late, skate all day. That you know what, those guys.
That's a suburb of Roseau, Garrett.
Sure. Well, you guys.
Jeff had that wrong. Roseau's the suburb of Warroad right now.
Well, Garrett, we say we're the best college hockey radio show in the country. We've got listeners in Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, New York, New Jersey, South Dakota for your Augustana team, and California. All over the country, we got listeners right now. Garrett.
Coach Raboin, thanks for being on. Congrats, and I'm assuming you got your name in the hat for the head coaching position next year for the World Juniors with the college Layton roster. You have the inside scoop, so thanks for joining us here this morning.
Congrats, Garrett.
Thanks for having me always, boys.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett.
Intermission sponsor, Gateway Chev. Gateway Chevrolet, where you can save big on Chevy, Silverado, Equinox, or Blazer. Go online at FargoChevrolet.com. We'll be back. Tommy Boy.
Hey, get ready.
Coming to ya on a dusty road. Good loving, I got a truckload. And when you get it, you got something, baby.
So don't worry, 'cause I'm coming. I'm a soul man. Come on, Eddie.
I'm a soul man.
Doc, I don't hear you.
I'm a soul man.
Are you still with us? Are you still with us
There's a
there?
reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
You don't want Jeff. You don't want Jeff and Dean together in a lazy boy watching UND hockey when they're losing, because this is the end result.
Well, we were eating Betty's pie too.
Yeah.
A blueberry pie, I should say.
With ice cream.
No, we didn't have ice cream. We had beer. Ham's beer.
Beer and pie.
So, Doc, we didn't get your comments real quick on the North Dakota game. Did you get a chance to watch it last night?
I did not. I was watching the football game actually, and then I didn't pull that game up. But it'll be interesting to see how they rebound, because they will rebound tonight. But listen, Arizona State is a good program. There's no question. And
It's always good to be the underdog.
yeah, absolutely.
i.e. college football. Not one top seed is playing in the final.
Correct.
You know, under the old rules, one of those guys,
It's five.
one of those top four teams would have been automatically handed a ring.
And the new one shows the reality, right?
Absolutely.
You can argue that Ohio State probably is one of the top ranks, since they were ranked number one at one point, and then back and forth with two, and then that wonderful loss to
It's
Michigan.
good to have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean,
And they've
we
got a
saw
big-
that in the World Juniors. You're on home turf. You're the favorite. It's fun to be the underdog.
Yeah, I'm not worried about North Dakota, Doc and Eddie.
that-
You know what?
That's a
Split
whole-
on the road and sweep at home, and you're winning a national
So
championship.
I've got a few people that have chirped me this past couple of weeks, and you got all the people up at Grand Forks that are talking about coaching. So here's my question for the world, and I appreciate that this one will probably get Wills to kind of smile a little bit here as I'm sitting next to him. So if you're going to make a change, does it always have to be the head coach, or could it be somebody that's in your program that's not the head coach? That's the question of the day. So what's the change you're asking for, right?
Yeah. If you're going to change some things, look at the NFL. They change assistant coaches. They'll change their offensive coordinator. The big program, football programs, will change a defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator, but they'll keep the head man. So I think it just depends. There's a lot of things that factor into that. But I think, Brad, I agree with you, Jeff, wholeheartedly. I think Brad Berry is one of the best coaches we've had at North Dakota. I know him personally. He's a solid guy. He's very honest. He's very direct. He reminds me a little bit of Dean. He sits down with his players individually and chats with them, and and has a good rapport. But let's face it. I mean, they're still down a little bit as far as injuries. They're getting people back into the lineup. That takes a little time for everybody to get used to each other again. They'll be fine. This is that first game back from a long holiday break. I mean, yes, they played Manitoba, but what are you going to say about that game? I mean, that just got guys back in town.
And then the other topic I wanted to throw out, Doc, is that I did get a response from a Western Canadian out of Prince George, British Columbia. Hey, Darcy, hello. But he said the best thought that he had heard from the hockey guys was we should move the Canadian junior program to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and put Dean Wilson in charge.
Oh, there's only one direction to go, right? Up. So I'd be okay with that. But no, I've been absorbing all this because the last four gold medals, last two times was the United States. The two before that was Canada. And everything kind of sideways. And there's a lot of validity and truth to what's being said. I think of the NCAA, where Phil, we played football. It was the same format, kind of. Where you practice hard and train hard all week, and you play Friday, Saturday. I like that format where I remember playing juniors. You're on the road all the time. I don't even remember practicing. You're always playing. So is that good or bad, or it's times of change in training, and you got to study great people, great programs. USA, and see what they're doing right and to mock it and build on that.
But I think the underline here, the college hockey player is what the NHL now wants. And the Europeans are wanting to come to play college hockey. The Canadians are wanting to play college hockey because college hockey develops high-end talent.
Except for the University of Michigan player going up and left Michigan and played in the Canadian Hockey League.
I shared not that many months ago that this is going to be a two-way street. And interestingly enough, the first two-way street is a college player going, because if you don't get ice time, do you get better? And where are you going to get more? And where are you getting more ice time? Now, you're getting more maybe skill development in college, but if you want flat-out time on the ice, I think the Canadian system has a lot of games, right, Wills?
They do, and I had a few players that went up there because they weren't good students, and I'm big about education, but they weren't good students, so they go, let's go that route, let's play juniors and go to the pros, and they weren't good students, and that's not, I'm in education, so I'm more for NCAA and college and kill two birds with one stone.
So lots of fun stuff going on.
Will, that's exactly the thing that I think that is going on, at Michigan. And you are exactly right. There is a two-way, and some of those kids don't turn the pages. They don't do that well at all. And Michigan's a tough school. You've got a lot. I mean, let's face it, that's a tough academic institution. If you're not turning the pages, you're not going to be there very long, and I think that's what happened. But in getting back to the Canadian World Junior team, I honestly, if you go back and look at how many times they've won gold on home soil, it's not very many. There was in Ottawa when we were there, and then there was in Toronto. They themselves put so much as far as expectations on those young kids' shoulders right out of the chute.
I agree,
and I think honestly, that's one of the biggest factors where some of these kids they melt. They just can't. They've never been in that situation. They don't know how to handle that situation.
They're not They're not Thunder Bay kids.
30 seconds, boys.
They're not used to playing in front of 19,000 fans, and it gets to them, and it gets them out of their game. It gets them out of what the coach wants them to do, and I think that's what happened here. They reverted back to their CHL ways, and it cost them. Put them in the penalty box a lot, and there were a lot of power play goals against them. So that's my take on it, and I think that up north, just chill a little bit. These are just kids that are only 17, 18, 19 years old. They are not professionals yet, so give them a break. Certainly cheer for them, but lower the heat, lower the expectations.
And
I agree again.
Doc, thank you for joining us today. And Eddie, we got to thank someone before we call it a wrap.
Well, a little thank out to Garrett Raboin. We also reached out to assistant coach Brett Larson, but we will be back here on the Hockey Guys next Saturday without me.
No. Stick it to cancer.
Shaw Floor's Pet Perfect Carpet helps you love confidently with protection from everyday messes and odors. Designed with the whole family in mind, Pet Perfect features built-in protection from staining, fading, and pet hair. Make tails wag with Shaw Floor's Pet Perfect. Designed for you, perfect for your pet.
Available at Carpet World, 17th Avenue South, online at carpetworldfargo.com.
Get employee pricing now on all remaining 2024 Tahoes and Suburbans at Gateway Chevrolet. Yes, employee pricing on all remaining 2024 Tahoes and Suburbans. Plus, get employee pricing on select 2024 Colorados and select 2025 Equinox and 2025 Silverados. Find your next vehicle at Gateway Chevrolet with employee pricing on all remaining 2024 Tahoes and Suburbans and select 2024 Colorados. Plus, select 2025 Equinox and Silverados. Together, let's drive. Online, FargoChevrolet.com.
Your weather station, fast and first. Nobody